Okay, so so tonight for this week's class, we just having two videos to go over, basically get you a good understanding of your discussion boards y'all have this week. So you have two. So make sure you apply to them, because I want y'all to know that at this point in time in class, all the points that are easy points, y'all need to try to grab and hold on, because they are valuable to you, and they help you, especially with like when it comes to where you're struggling with little assignments, that you'll be able to, it won't put a big dent into your grade. So like I said, this week we're gonna go over two videos. We're gonna watch two videos. I'm gonna go over them, and then I'm gonna cut it short so y'all can be able to work together on your projects. So this will be your last in class time that y'all will be using this time to be working with your projects. We still got 3 weeks left after this. So I definitely want y'all to keep up, concentrate on everything, be comfortable, and not so also I'm gonna make sure by next week everything gonna be graded. You'll see where you're at. If you need any extra help to be able to reach out and get it and see what's going on, especially with talking about making sure we have, because these next couple of weeks they're not going to be really that hard. It just we're just tying up a lot of loose ends to have an understanding where, as you continue into the in the class, in this course of trying to learn this way, because I know I've mentioned a lot in this course that it is another class that's 130. It's 130, which will continue to that was stand to this from this class, that you'll be able to have a good understanding. So the kind of that's where where you're heading. Like I said last week, we really don't do a whole lot with coding. It's just basically 1 week and we move on. But I want y'all to I kind of push to make sure y'all had a good understanding of what to be expected for later on, and as well as seeing how some of the stuff work. It's not just like you're not being familiar with it when you do see it, because I know some of the books are getting to a point where they don't really show a lot of examples, and stuff is getting harder for us to show you in ways we have to be creative in that aspect, so you know where we're heading and having an understanding. Because I know as a student, you want to make sure you understand what you're doing, because you present yourself after you graduate, that you know how to do the work that you say you do, and not be like, oh, I don't understand. I know some companies use different software and stuff like that, but you have the general ideal, and even also the knowledge of it, and determine the terms from what they're talking about. Because like I said, there's different software packages and stuff like that. Even some companies are still using those software, but you do have an honest idea of what is out there from your studies. So don't mean that's not a big worry from us. We do know that you're getting some of the updates and some not. So from that, I'm going ahead and start like I said, we have 2 videos to go through, get an understanding, and I'm gonna go in. So let me go ahead and share my screen to y'all. Okay, so I'm going to do the business. First, so you're going to talk about business intelligence.
Welcome to this introduction to business intelligence from the Corporate Finance Institute. This course is a comprehensive introduction to everything business intelligence. We'll explore the roles that make up a business intelligence team, the roles they perform, and we'll see live demos of the tools most commonly used in BI. Then I'll discuss all the key concepts of data visualization and data itself to make sure that you have the terminology to discuss BI with confidence. With this knowledge, you'll be all set to start learning these business intelligence tools and skills that are going to transform your ability to work with, transform, analyze, and visualize data. The Intro to Business Intelligence course is divided into 3 chapters. What is business intelligence? Data visualization concepts, and common data concepts. In this first chapter, we're going to answer what exactly is business intelligence and is it the same as data science? We'll learn the roles that form part of a business intelligence team. We'll see live examples of the most popular BI tools so you can see exactly how transformative they're going to be to your work. Finally, we'll learn how a BI team serves the needs of a business and how they can be well supported by its leaders. What is business intelligence? Business intelligence is the practice of turning data into actionable insights. The idea of using data to drive action in business is not a new one, but what has changed is both the amounts of data we can collect and store, as well as the tools and technology available to us. BI relies on a variety of different processes, tools, skills, and therefore roles that work together seamlessly to turn data into insights. And more specifically, when we say actionable insights, we mean those that are specific enough that they allow business leaders to change or maintain a course of action. To help further define the term business intelligence, I want to answer this very common question. Is BI the same as data science? In a nutshell, no. Business intelligence focuses on what has happened and what trends have been developing. Common questions in BI might be how many loans did we issue compared to last year? Or which category delivered the highest margin in Q4? And the key skills required for BI are basic statistics, data transformation, data visualization, and specific business knowledge. Data science, on the other hand, focuses on what will happen or which outcome is most likely. Questions that might be answered with data science include, can we predict which customers are likely to default on loans? Or can we suggest relevant movies that a user will like based on their previous choices? The skills used in data science are more technical and will include coding, data mining, advanced statistics, and specific domain knowledge. More generally, the term data analysis brings together concepts and skills from both of these areas. The remainder of this course will focus on business intelligence. As we said, BI exists to turn data into insights. To help us understand how that happens, we're going to look at 4 different roles and the part they each play in delivering insights to a business. Data engineers are responsible for organizing and moving data between systems, which is more commonly referred to as ETL, or extract, transform, and load. This process ensures that the data is ready and optimized for the rest of us to consume. Data analysts are typically responsible for extracting that data for a specific report or project. They use it to create metrics and models that will eventually help stakeholders answer important questions. Data visualization specialists are focused on the presentation of those metrics to the business audience. After all, what good are all our technical insights if we can't communicate them clearly to our non-technical audience? They do this using visuals and dashboards to create reports and presentations that tell stories about important metrics. Finally, let's not forget our business leaders, who ultimately are the audience of all our hard work. Strictly speaking, they're not part of the business intelligence team, but they're important because they make their decisions based on our insights. Everything we do as a business intelligence team is for the benefit of the business. In the rest of this chapter, we're going to explore each one of these roles in turn. We'll look at examples of the tools they might use and demo the most common ones so you can see just how powerful these tools are. We'll also look at the skills required to fulfill each role. Now, for those of us who have spent a significant amount of time in Microsoft Excel, the data analyst represents a familiar starting point in the BI sequence. We have access to some data in the form of an Excel file, CSV file, or database, and we need to rearrange it to fit nicely into our report. So let's take a look at the modern data analyst. The data analyst. Data analysts are responsible for building data models, which facilitate analysis and visualization. The data analyst role can be broken down into 4 general tasks. The first of these is ETL, or extract, transform, and load. If there's anything that's always true about our data, it's that it's never quite in the format that we want it. Importing, transforming, and moving data is known as ETL. And for a data analyst, this can involve sourcing data from Excel, CSV files, and databases. The data is then transformed into a better layout before loading into a model. The next task is to create models with that data. The models we create often bring together data from 2 different sources or tables. For example, we might have a transactions table and a product table. By connecting these tables, we're effectively creating a data model. We'll look more at that later. Importing the data and setting up the model can be a lengthy process, so data analysts will set up automated refreshes which can be used at the click of a button. The third task is to calculate the metrics that allow us to measure business performance. As we all know, formulas can be complex and depend on how our data is structured. It's important for a data analyst to understand exactly how the data is put together. Finally, data analysts will document everything they've done. Documentation falls into 2 categories. First, the model itself needs to be documented to help other analysts understand the data sources and the data model. Second, we need to ensure that the business users interpret models and metrics in a consistent manner. A data dictionary, in this case, will provide that clarity. Let's take a quick look at the tools that a data analyst uses most frequently. Then I'll show you a quick demo of the ones most widely used by BI professionals. In the past, data analysts have generally used Excel and VBA to complete their work. Excel is still the most widely used analysis tool in business, whilst VBA is a simple coding language that helps enhance the functionality of Excel either with macros or custom-built functions. There are 2 primary tools that data analysts rely on for data transformation. These are Power Query and SQL. Power Query is going to be a game changer for your transformations. It's an add-on for most versions of Microsoft Excel and can integrate seamlessly with your current reports. Gone are the days of manually copy-pasting and rearranging data each week for your regular reports. Power Query is so easy to learn and will save you hours and hours of time. SQL is a query language that helps you request data in a particular format from a database. We'll look at an example in a second. It's surprisingly not that difficult to learn and will dramatically improve your understanding of where your data is coming from. In order to combine data from different sources and perform analysis, data analysts use three key tools: Tableau, Power Pivot, and Power BI. Tableau is primarily known for its world-class visualizations. But in order to create those visuals, it also includes functionality to create metrics, join data from multiple sources, and even create a data model. Power BI is the most widely used analysis and visualization tool on the market. It might not quite have the same level of visuals as Tableau, but it lacks nothing in analytical power for the average user. Again, in Power BI, we can create data models, metrics, and interactive dashboards. It uses a formula language called DAX, which will be very familiar to Excel users. Power Pivot is an add-on for Excel. It brings the DAX formula language and the data model capabilities right into the heart of your Excel workbooks. If you work with Excel, Power Pivot is an absolute must. Finally, Qlik is another popular analysis and visualization tool. Whilst R and Python are both coding languages that are used by some analysts to create more complex analyses. Now I want to show you a quick demo of the most popular tools.
Okay, so
welcome to this introduction to business.
In this video, it's basically letting you know a lot of the stuff that y'all learning is you're taking the business, the intelligence of it, and especially at the end when it was showing us that the SQL that you're learning and getting familiar with is part of it. It's part of the data transformation of it, is getting the information you have in your database to be useful for understanding where the company is going, where we want to go, where we've been in the past and stuff. And that's kind of where we were trying to use the Excel. You use that a lot. You learned how to map out your tables, stuff like that. And before you even start processing your SQL language. So in here, understanding where the company is going helps. Even in the smallest amount, you help it, because it was as he was saying, we in that data analyzing part. We forming the models. We are getting the information, because a lot of people times company don't realize, like we were as you noticed last week, we were doing a lot of you selecting information, you're getting what you need, you creating stuff, you inputting data. That is what where we do that kind of stuff. That's where the company needs. It's like, okay, I have all this data, but what can I do with this data? Sometimes that's why sometimes you say, okay, well, why do they sell their data? If people like magazines and stuff, companies try to sell it. It's like, why don't I hold on to this and find a new avenue for my business? Find this model. Can I analyze it anyway? Have I dropped off? Where have we not made a point in the market to our customers, to our clients? You have to look at all that, but in here you have layers of people, the roles, and then we all have to work together and be able to see that future. So as they said, we might, as the analyst and the person doing the engineer, might not make the final decision. The business person does, but we have to lead them to that. So sometimes, even though we feel like we're not that small pot in that pot, that it don't make like, oh, they be like, well, the people up on the in the office always making the decisions, but in reality, if we don't give them the right information, that decision is not gonna be good for the company. So, because I know even with our company, we kind of laughed this week that they tend to change programs and software and stuff, and then they bring them back, saying, "Oh, this did really work," and then it's like it's been a while since we used it, but now we have more insight on how we could have used this to make better choices and decisions and how we do stuff. And it's like, okay, it's like a bike. We have to get back on that wheel to be able to extract the information. So in there, you extracting, transforming, and loading stuff. You have to get all them. And so, and I know next week you are gonna be doing some analyzing some other information, but you're gonna make it to a point where you're gonna have to present it to me to be visually see how this could work for the business. So paying attention how we get our data is gonna be important. This is even after we get the sale and getting all these and models and seeing stuff, we need to see, the business leader need to see where we're heading to so they can make that decision. So when you're doing a lot of stuff, so like I said, next week we're gonna be in Excel trying to get some of this stuff extracted in and pulling the visual part out, and you're like, well, all we see is words. Yeah, we see words, but we can map it. We can still create graphs and stuff from this information so they be able to see the visual part of it. So and I know they talk about pivot tables and the power of BI right now. Since we're in the beginning, we're not going to be paying attention to that. That's as far as when you go farther in, the knowledge you get, you'll be able to use it. So don't worry about, oh, I got that grasp. I mean, I understand it. Some of y'all might have used it at your jobs and stuff. So it is a process to some of these things, because in business intelligence, we have these trends and developments that we have to analyze. We have to make a point, like you constantly keep trying to say, okay, what is I'm going to, where are we leading to, how can I make this to be the best business technology and integrity to this. So in reality, it's a whole. And if you notice a lot, if you see, as we were doing this class, every week it was a step that you had it built on top. There was we were developing you so you'd be able to see where we're going, where we're leading you to, and how could I make this successful in what we're doing. So sometimes when they say, what is the business technology? We have to look at, okay, how is this data being used? What part of the team? What is our life science in this? What is our needs and how we serve? So we have to make it known that there are different parts in the business intelligence. And so you definitely have to be able to you won't, like we did do, like I said, in the examples and the tools, they tend to, some of them be popular and they use them, and some they don't. Even they will probably bring something back. But as you get the understanding of the metrics of how they calculated the formulas and the structure of it, you will tend to see the visualization. So as we analyze the stuff, there will be points in here where it seemed like, okay, how we getting here? Where we want there? What is this project trying to get us to do? And you got to see that foresight, so you have to extract it. So when you as you extracting, you calculating, you modeling it, you documentation it. So then that way, every time you documentate it, you're making sure that everybody know where you're leading to make that best business decision for him. So that's kind of how business intelligence work. It is one of them things. Is pieces. There be pieces where you're good at, and there's pieces you're gonna be like, okay, I need to work on. So paying attention to where your strength at and your weakness and where you at in the middle can benefit you when in the future when you're doing business intelligence and stuff. So let's go to the next video.
Big data is an elusive concept. It represents an amount of digital information which is uncomfortable to store, transport, or analyze. Big data is so voluminous that it overwhelms the technologies of the day and challenges us to create the next generation of data storage tools and techniques. In fact, physicists at CERN have been wrangling with the challenge of their ever-expanding big data for decades. 50 years ago, CERN's data could be stored in a single computer. Okay, so it wasn't your usual computer, this was a mainframe computer that filled an entire building. To analyze the data, physicists from around the world traveled to CERN to connect to the enormous machine. In the 1970s, our ever-growing big data was distributed across different sets of computers which mushroomed at CERN. Each set was joined together in dedicated homebred networks. But physicists collaborated without regard for the boundaries between sets, hence needed to access data on all of these. So we bridged the independent networks together in our own CERNnet. In the 1980s, islands of similar networks speaking two different dialects sprung up all over Europe and the States, making remote access possible but tortuous. To make it easy for our physicists across the world to access the ever-expanding big data stored at CERN without traveling, the networks needed to be talking with the same language. We adopted the fledgling internetworking standard from the States, followed by the rest of Europe, and we established the principal link at CERN between Europe and the States in 1989, and the truly global internet took off. Physicists could easily then access the terabytes of big data remotely from around the world, generate results, and write papers in their home institutes. Then they wanted to share the findings with all their colleagues. To make this information sharing easy, we created the web in the early 1990s. Physicists no longer needed to know where the information was stored in order to find it and access it on the web, an idea which caught on across the world and has transformed the way we communicate in our daily lives. During the early 2000s, the continued growth of our big data outstripped our capability to analyze it at CERN, despite having buildings full of computers.
We had to start distributing the petabytes of data to our collaborating partners in order to employ local computing and storage at hundreds of different institutes. In order to orchestrate these interconnected resources with their diverse technologies, we developed a computing grid enabling the seamless sharing of computing resources around the globe. This relies on trust relationships and mutual exchange. But this grid model could not be transferred out of our communities so easily, where not everyone has resources to share, nor could companies be expected to have the same level of trust. Instead, an alternative, more business-like approach for accessing on-demand resources has been flourishing recently, called cloud computing, which other communities are now exploiting to analyze their big data. It might seem paradoxical for a place like CERN, a lab focused on the study of the unimaginably small building blocks of matter, to be the source of something as big data. But the way we study the fundamental particles, as well as the forces by which they interact, involves creating them fleetingly colliding protons in our accelerators and capturing a trace of them as they zoom off near light speed. To see those traces, our detector, with 150 million sensors, acts like a really massive 3D camera, taking a picture of each collision event at up to 40 million times per second. That makes a lot of data. But if big data has been around for so long, why do we suddenly keep hearing about it now? Well, as the old metaphor explains, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and it is no longer just science that is exploiting this. The fact that we can derive more knowledge by joining related information together and spotting correlations can inform and enrich numerous aspects of everyday life, either in real time, such as traffic or financial conditions, in short-term evolutions, such as medical or meteorological, or in predictive situations, such as business, crime, or disease trends. Virtually every field is turning to gathering big data, with mobile sensor networks spanning the globe, cameras on the ground and in the air, archives storing information published on the web, and loggers capturing the activities of internet citizens the world over. The challenge is on to invent new tools and techniques to mine these vast stores, to inform decision-making, to improve medical diagnosis, and otherwise to answer needs and desires of tomorrow's society in ways that are unimagined today.
Okay, so as y'all seen, big data is just data everywhere. It doesn't matter who has it now. It became a mass of data. We have data in our hands every day. As we see what we do is how we use it. Is becoming the big key in it. It's like, okay, especially now, you see everybody always have a phone and they freaks out when their phone don't work. It's not here. They cannot call nobody. And it's like, okay, why have we lost the idea of remembering simple things? Because we have the tool in our hands to help us remember. We don't have to force all the information. We don't have to remember anything. If we've seen it, it was like, here it is. This is where we got it from. And then data changes all the time. So big data has become a mind of everyone. And I mean, when I say everyone, it's like even little kids. You see, their parent give them a tablet, they give them this, they give them that, to keep them. You think, I'm keeping them entertained, but they constantly grabbing information. Their brain is evolving, and sometimes they might miss out as they gather data. They missing out on other things that they haven't developed. So sometimes even with big data, we lose out on certain things that we don't foresee as we keep grabbing all this data to help us as we keep vasting on. So it doesn't matter if we're in United States, it don't matter if it's day or night anymore. It's like our internet and the Wi-Fi is collecting our data 24/7, especially if you go to the hospital now. They used to take you was like, oh, well, they taking so long of a time to process labs and all this, and even though they have lab hours, somebody else is processing it for us, is doing some of the things, and it's just like you put the stuff in the machine and then you just take off and somebody analyzes it, then they get the reports back. Help desk, support desk, all the data is there, and we have to dig it out. It's just a pile. And like they say, it used to be a needle in a haystack to find stuff. Now it's like, whoa, all I gotta do is type it in, and it pops up. If I can figure it out in 3 seconds, 15 seconds, as long as I'm connected. And it's like, oh my God, if I don't have a Wi-Fi, my data, I can't even remember. And I was like, I told people sometimes we even have to remember at least one number. We'll have to grab that in Century. So as data continue, we have all these tiers and things to go, and then it seems like, okay, now we cause all this information data to be the big data to be out there. People are starting to create the problems, everything. So you have to constantly look at that. So big data is still, even though it's been around a while, we still have to be smart about it. Because especially that's where we have to engage in our business intelligence with this, because there could be issues coming with it. So think about all the data that's out there. We'll never really may consume everything with it, because it constantly keep growing, and trends and stuff, it develops, like how we use the data changes constantly, insights into this. So when you sitting there thinking like, okay, what could I use? How could I use this? What's the difference? And even if I have to go back to another way, but make it faster or better, I can see now from things in the past that we can tweak. It's almost like people always like, well, why go out and buy the first version of stuff? Or some people just jump on and grab the first version of the new Apple Watch or the new phone. Oh, it's great, and then they find out they still have to tweak it. So having a lot of data in your hands and eyesight may not say that you're not going to run into problems, because it is. You gonna have to say the world still revolving around all this data, but how can I be able to contain it into the format that is not going to be used in the wrong manner, or is not going to harm anybody? And we can't say, we won't be able to know that. So definitely when viewing data into your database, you will see where we have to go to in there. So I do want to let y'all know, like I want to revamp and let y'all know you just got the 2 discussion boards. Y'all also be working on y'all with y'all partners this week. And even if you don't do it this week, it doesn't mean that you don't. I just want to give y'all class time as far as to be able to do that. And if y'all have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here for you. I want y'all to go ahead and have a nice Thanksgiving, enjoy your families. And at this, I haven't at this point have anything for y'all, but I want you to enjoy your holiday, and that's it. And y'all have a good night.